In the headlines, a new agreement between Guyana and the United States will allow for enhanced security of Guyana's exclusive economic zone. Detectives come up empty-handed after they combed the number 2 and 3 backlands to find where the Henry boys were brutally murdered. State House to be repainted to its historical colors of white with green edges. And in sport, Sharfin Rutherford talks to us from the UEA, and a performance analysis from India chats exclusively to Newsroom about IPL 2020, starting this weekend. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. We're glad you could join us. First up, President Irfaan Ali has said that the new ship-rider agreement, which was signed between Guyana and the United States on Friday, would allow for additional security of Guyana's exclusive economic zone, where a flurry of oil exploration and development is ongoing. Neil Marks reports.
Mike Pompeo, the U.S. Secretary of State, touched down in Guyana Thursday evening and was whisked away to Georgetown for a working dinner at State House. Immediately, he and the Irfaan Ali government discussed security, investments, democracy and fighting the narco trade. On Friday morning, it was time to put ink to paper. The first agreement to combat the narco trade will provide mechanisms to streamline communications between law enforcement officials in Guyana and the United States to conduct cooperative operations at sea and to expedite overflight clearances for law enforcement aircraft when combating illegal drug trafficking. The agreement has scope to help Guyana also protect its exclusive economic zone, that oil-rich maritime zone where ExxonMobil has made 18 discoveries so far.
In relation to our exclusive economic zone, it is not only from a maritime perspective, because we would have raised also with the Secretary radar coverage of our exclusive economic zone, which is critical at this time. We have had various difficulties, and I think we welcome any help that would enhance our security, that would enhance our ability to protect our borders, and importantly, enhance our capability and ability to ensure that we go after criminal elements. And this allows us to do that. It strengthens our capacity, and it builds that partnership and gives us that additional capacity that is so needed.
You know, the two agreements we signed this morning are not disconnected. Right, greater security, greater capacity to understand your border space, what's happening inside your exclusive economic zone. Those are all things that give Guyana sovereignty, the capacity to control its space, and the rule of law, property rights, the things that you all value in democracy. These things are connected.
The other agreement is the framework to strengthen energy and infrastructure finance and market building between Guyana and the United States of America.
The framework will facilitate collaboration between Guyana and the United States of America to identify concrete ways to further their joint interests in infrastructure growth, integration, and energy security in order to help meet the economic goals of both countries. Infrastructure within the context of the framework refers to facilities and systems serving the public, including but not limited to water, energy and hydrocarbons, buildings, airports, basic sanitation, information technology, logistics infrastructure, roads, railways, bridges, ports, and tunnels. The framework will help catalyze private capital and facilitate financial market growth for infrastructure development by identifying programmatic and project-specific investment opportunities.
Both sides are keen on what could flow from this arrangement.
The framework agreement, as I would have said, gives an excellent opportunity not only for the mobilization of capital, U.S. capital, and the mobilization of the U.S. private sector to participate in the wide-ranging economic opportunities and infrastructure transformation that would take place here in Guyana. But more importantly, it has to deal also with the transfer of knowledge, the transfer of technology, cooperation, building capacity between the U.S. private sector and the local private sector, and taking the partnership beyond the two governments to the private sector, so that you will have greater integration of the private sector and greater participation. And that is what we want. We have a large diaspora in the U.S. We have great opportunities here, and we want to see more investment. We have said this before. We want to see more investment and more private sector interest from the U.S. So I think this agreement not only sends the right signal, but set the foundation for that collaboration, cooperation, transfer of technology, and more importantly, building of local capacity here in our local private sector.
There was lots of conversations about how there might be more foreign direct investment from the United States. And sometimes I hear, oh, we don't want foreign direct investment, we're concerned about our sovereignty. I would posit this for everyone watching today. The United States model is to build out on the best things of your country. We'll show up, we'll bring capital, we'll bring resources, we'll often bring technological capabilities that are much needed to develop resources, develop infrastructure for your country, but we don't do so with political strings tied to them. We don't operate the way other regimes do, who might show up with money and then demand political retribution, or worse yet, engage in activity that is corrupt. That's not how American foreign direct investment operates. It comes in, we have private sector leaders, you'll see they're disconnected. They're not connected to our government. These aren't state-owned enterprises that come and invest here in Guyana. These are private sector companies looking to make life better for the Guyanese people and to do a good turn for their company as well.
A working group will be established which will be coordinated by senior representatives from both countries. A work plan will be developed jointly towards the achievement of the objectives of the framework within 3 months of the effective date. Reporting for the newsroom, Neil Marks.
Thank you, Neil. The New People's Progressive Party government has signaled its intention to restore State House, a heritage building and the official residence of the President, to its historic color of white with green edges. Minister of Governance and Parliamentary Affairs Gail Teixeira told the National Assembly on Friday during her budget presentation that the official residence of the President will not remain in the current shades of green it is painted in. The announcement was met with loud applause and banging of the desk by her colleague members of Parliament on the government side of the House. State House, which had remained white for decades, was repainted in 2017 by the then APNU AFC government, but not in its historical white colors. Criticisms weighed heavily at the time on the decision by then President David Granger to repaint State House, which is also designated a national monument. State House is one of 9 gazetted national monuments in Guyana that falls under the vested responsibility of the National Trust. The National Trust had stated that approval was not sought for the repainting of State House, and this directly breached the National Trust Act that makes provision for the preservation of monuments, sites, places, and objects of historic interest or national importance. The former president had said he had broken no law in repainting the building. Guyana on Friday recorded 75 new COVID-19 cases from 260 tests, pushing the country's total known cases to 2,102, with 16 persons in the COVID-19 ICU. There are 644 persons in home isolation and 66 in institutional isolation. The number of recoveries is now 1,314 and the number of deaths is at 62. Region 4 recorded 41 new cases. Regions 7 and 3 each recorded 9 new cases. Region 9 recorded 9 cases. Region 1 has 4 more cases. And Regions 5 and 10 recorded 1 new case each. Regions 4 continued to record the highest number of cases with 849. This is followed by Region 9 with 333, Region 1 with 297, Region 7 with 272, and Region 3 with 153. The total number of tests done to date is 11,771. Still ahead on the newsroom, detectives come up empty-handed as they comb the number 2 and 3 backlands to find where the Henry boys were brutally murdered. Welcome back, you're watching the newsroom. Detectives of the Major Crime Unit continue to come up empty-handed as they try to figure out where 16-year-old Isaiah Henry and 18-year-old Joel Henry were killed, who might have done it and why. A total of 75 ranks drawn from Region 5 combed the backlands of number 2 and 3 villages on the west coast of Berbice with the assistance of a Guyana Defense Force helicopter on Thursday with the hope of finding the primary crime scene where the teen cousins were killed. Isanella Patwa tells us more.
2 weeks after their mutilated bodies were found dumped in the backlands of Cotton Tree, West Coast, Berbice, the Ghana Police Force continues to reach dead ends with its investigation. 16-year-old Isaiah Henry and 18-year-old Joel Henry were found brutally murdered on September 6th. On Thursday, 75 ranks from the Major Crimes Unit in the Ghana Defense Force, led by Region 5 Divisional Commander and a Lieutenant Colonel, along with government pathologist Dr. Nihal Singh, searched the backlands of number 2 and 3 villages. The police force in a statement said nothing of evidential value was found. The ranks on the ground also received aerial support via a helicopter from the Ghana Defense Force. Last week, investigators determined that the teenagers were murdered somewhere else and then dumped in the backlands of Cotton Tree, and with no solid case against the suspects, all of them were released and placed on station bail. Police had said that the primary crime scene would greatly assist in the probe, as the primary crime scene will have an abundance of evidence linking the perpetrators to the crime. The police force are calling on the public to come forward with any information which can assist investigators in finding the crime scene. Despite reaching a dead end with the investigation, the police noted that it continues to pursue 2 suspects in the case. The gruesome murder of the teen boy sparked protests across the country. A post-mortem examination found that they both died from hemorrhage and shock due to multiple incised injuries, including severed spines. The killers carved out a huge X in Isaiah's head while they cut open Joel's chest. They had left their number 3 village, West Coast Berbice home, to go into the back dam to pick coconuts on September 5th, and that was the last time they were seen alive. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanella Patwo.
The Ministry of Health has budgeted $3.2 billion to remedy a drug shortage in the public healthcare system, even as the government prepares to dump over $1 billion worth of drugs that have expired. This was revealed by Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony Thursday during his 2020 budget presentation. Bibi Katoon reports.
According to Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony, the new government has inherited a total of 1,663,032 drugs valued at $742 million, which have expired and are sitting at the Diamond Drug Bond. He said another $200 million in items are scheduled to expire by the end of December.
Close to 1 billion Guyana dollars would have been wasted on expired medicines and supplies. As if this was not bad enough, to get rid of these expired drugs, it would cost the MMU at least another 3 billion Guyana dollars to move it and take it to the dump site.
Dr. Anthony blasted the former APNU AFC government for failing to provide basic medicines to Guyanese. According to the minister, a survey was conducted at the Materials Management Unit on August 5th, which revealed that a total of 206 medical drugs and supplies, including those used for hypertension, heart problems, diabetes, tuberculosis, HIV, and malaria, were not purchased. Dr. Anthony said 50 types of medical supplies were not in stock, including X-ray film, thermometers, insulin syringes, and oxygen nebulizers. On Thursday, the tenders opened for the items to be purchased for emergency use.
To immediately rescue this situation, this government had to allocate $3.2 billion to make that emergency purchase of drugs and medical supplies, the tenders of which are opening today.
The Ministry of Health has an overall budget of $14.3 billion to ensure there is an adequate stock of medicines and medical supplies in the year ahead. Bibi Katoon, Newsroom.
We tell you now that 4 persons were remanded to prison on Friday for the murder of 47-year-old Mohammed Hanif, known as Raymond, who was chopped to death by 3 masked men when they invaded his experiment West Coast Berbice home on September 12th. The man's wife was also arrested in connection with his murder. Isanella Patwa reports.
Mohammed Hanif, a taxi driver, was beaten by bandits with a metal bar and chopped to the head, while his 44-year-old wife sat silently and watched on September 12th, police headquarters reported. On Friday, 4 suspects appeared before Magistrate Rabindranath Singh at the Fort Wellington Magistrates Court, charged with Hanif's murder. 56-year-old Sarju Matidin, a cash crop farmer of Bath Settlement, 52-year-old Devon McCalman, a laborer of number 28 Village, Royston Dowden, 29, a laborer of Bath Settlement, and 21-year-old Ivan Lindo, also a laborer and a security guard of Waterloo, Bath, were not required to plead to the indictable charge. Meanwhile, Matidin was represented by attorney at law Bernard De Silva, who told the court that his client was beaten by the police while in custody. In this regard, the attorney requests permission for his client to seek medical attention, and same was granted by the magistrate. The four will return to court on October 2nd. Police headquarters in a statement revealed that on the night in question, Hanif and his wife were home alone when the men invaded the house at approximately 2100 hours. They immediately pounced on Hanif and demanded cash, but he told them he did not have any. After battering the taxi driver, the bandits escaped without stealing anything. Hanif was picked up by a neighbor and rushed to the Fort Wellington Public Hospital and later transferred to the New Amsterdam Public Hospital, where he died at around 1:30 hours. The wife was subsequently arrested and was accused of orchestrating the attack on her husband after facing financial trouble. She was later released on station bail. Hanif had only returned to Guyana from St. Martin a few days before he was murdered. He had in his possession a large quantity of cash and jewelry. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isinella Patwo.
Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce Anuj Waldron on Friday defended the government's support for the private sector in the 2020 budget, noting that it is the private sector which provides employment and pays taxes to increase economic growth. The minister was at the time responding to several opposition members who said the budget only caters for big businesses and not the working class. Bibi Katoon reports.
Several members of the opposition APNU-AFC have criticized the budget as a private sector budget that does not support the working class. But Minister with responsibility for the sector, Anuj Waldron, during her maiden speech in the National Assembly, defended the sector. Waldron noted that the non-petroleum private sector is set to contract by 5% this year as a result of the political climate in 2019 and the ensuing COVID-19 pandemic. As such, she said it is important to support the business community to maintain the employment of Guyanese and investments into the economy.
When the private sector thrives, the people thrive. The private sector employs people. The private sector pays taxes with which we fund the essential services for people. The private sector brings in foreign currency. The private sector is one of the most important components in alleviating poverty. Economic development is unthinkable without the growth of the private sector. And the view that the private sector only comprises big companies is seriously flawed.
The minister pointed out that 62% of the tourism and hospitality industry are either closed or have downsized as a result of the COVID-19 restrictions. In this regard, Waldron said there are several measures which will be implemented to ensure recovery. According to the minister, $100 million was set aside for a small business development fund to provide relief and recovery for businesses affected by the pandemic.
Mr. Speaker, on the theme of relief and recovery, the Small Business Development Fund is going to be a key instrument in our pandemic response. It will be a mechanism by which much-needed resources are going to be channeled to small, medium, and micro enterprises, especially those which demonstrate a commitment to preserving employment. We have programmed $100 million for the fund, through which we will disperse small business relief grants for qualifying businesses. These businesses will be required thereafter to qualify for continuing relief to demonstrate that they are meeting the key objectives, among which are preservation of employment and minimizing the price impact to customers.
In addition, the Small Business Bureau is looking to register some 1,500 persons this year, which, if reached, can possibly impact the lives of up to 11,000 Guyanese. The minister said measures will be implemented to ensure the hospitality and tourism sectors can improve to support the local oil and gas industry. She noted that support to medium, small, and micro enterprises exceeds $400 million in the budget. Other key initiatives that offer direct support to industry will include the completion of the business support and incubation facilities, including industrial estate facilities at Lethem, Legwan, Enmore, and Belvedere. Over $2 billion was budgeted for the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. Bibi Katun, Newsroom.
When the newsroom returns, new coalition MP Roysdale Ford lashes out at the PPP government and over 30,000 persons sign up for free online learning. Welcome back, you're watching the newsroom. In a fiery presentation to the National Assembly, new Member of Parliament for the APNU-AFC Roysdale Ford on Friday slammed the PPP government and accused them of being illegitimate. Ford, during his budget presentation, accused the government of failing to recognize the plight of the less fortunate, as he noted that the coalition will stand by the poor.
This budget fails to promote the happiness and prosperity of the Guyanese people. Mr. Speaker, we were regaled by the Honorable Attorney General about votes and about elections. But my response to him, Your Honor, is his own now plastic bubble. Fraud is fraud, Mr. Speaker. Fraud is fraud. Mr. Speaker, this is the first time in the Commonwealth, Mr. Speaker, first time in the Commonwealth that a government is so happy, so proud of coming to power before an election petition, shows that they are illegitimate.
The APNU-AFC has filed an elections petition contending that the elections were unlawfully conducted and the results were therefore affected. If they succeed in their case, the petitioners are seeking orders from the court to declare that the elections were so badly held that the results from it cannot be deemed to be the will of the people. At the same time, they want the court to throw out the elections and have former President David Granger sworn in for a second term. Education Minister Priang Manachan on Friday disclosed that 31,438 persons have so far signed up for free online learning courses through the ministry. The courses are being offered on Coursera through a partnership with the Commonwealth of Learning to facilitate educational opportunities during the pandemic. According to the Education Minister, 5,034 teachers are also being trained by the ministry using online learning tools.
These registrants from Region 1, we had 307. From Region 2, 1,062. From Region 3, 4,699. From Region 4, 18,592. From Region 5, 1,531. From Region 6, 2,918. From Region 7, 303. From Region 8, 65. From Region 9, 278. And I'd be happy to tell you, Mr. Speaker, from Region 1, we already have 5 persons with certificates. From Region 2, we have 27 persons with certificates. From Region 3, we have 51 persons with certificates. From Region 4, we have 246 persons with certificates. From Region 5, we have 24 persons with certificates. From Region 6, we have 58 persons with certificates. From Region 7, we have 2 persons with certificates. From Region 9, we have 1 person. And from Region 10, 19. Do you know when this country got the invitation to get on this program? At the end of April. At the end of April. Ministers were too busy trying to steal power. Too busy trying to force themselves on this government, on this country to serve the people. They were reminded again in July. And they did nothing to get this to the people of Guyana. Mr. Speaker, we will not be a government like that.
Minister of Housing Colin Crowell on Friday said his ministry will allocate 10,000 house lots in its first year in office. In addition, he told the National Assembly during his budget debates that the government will work with the banking sector to increase the limit for low-income loans and reduce interest rates, in addition to other measures to reduce construction costs.
But in an effort to bridge the gap in the demand, which is at a backlog of 68,000 active applicants, the PPPC government will adopt a practical approach to the housing drive. Mr. Speaker, mortgage interest relief for low and middle home income earners increasing the limit for the low-income loans, and a reversal of VAT on building materials where it was imposed, and measures to give increased access and availability to financing for home ownership within the reach of every citizen will be a goal of the Ministry of Housing and Water.
The Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission and the Barbados Fair Trading Commission signed a memorandum of understanding on Friday that will facilitate better cooperation in information sharing and experience in enforcement activities, monitoring of business events, and further safeguard consumers' interests in both countries. The two commissions will also continue to enforce the competition laws in Guyana and Barbados to ensure fair trading. Barbados has one of the leading consumer and competition commissions in the Caribbean region. The agreement was signed virtually by the directors of the commissions, Don Cush and Sandra Seeley.
The cooperation agreement between the Barbados Fair Trading Commission and the Guyana Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission represents a statement of intent between the two agencies to share information that is relevant for the effective enforcement of each party's competition laws. Specifically, the FTC in Barbados is mandated to, among other things, safeguard the interests of consumers, regulate utility services supplied by service providers, monitor and investigate the conduct of service providers and business enterprises, and promote and maintain effective competition in the economy. There are several provisions that speak to overall the collaboration and the exchange of information in terms of industry, in terms of practices as well, between the agencies. And so there are provisions that speak to notification and enforcement activities, the coordination of enforcement activities, as I mentioned, information exchange, and then ultimately communication and consultation.
The signing of the memorandum between the two commissions, the BFTC and the CCAC, is an important step in the cooperation between us now concretized by this MOU. Barbados and Jamaica are the mature competition authorities in the region, and it may be because of the strong familial roots between our two countries and the bond developed over the years.
And that's it for me, Kurt Campbell, the financial weather and bridge reports, along with sport news with Avinash Ramzan when the newsroom returns. Take care.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We start things off with some cricket news. Tonight we link up with the former Rajasthan Royals performance analyst Saurabh Walker of India, and he will share some insights into IPL 2020 starting tomorrow. But before that, let's hear from Mumbai Indians Guyanese all-rounder Shafin Rutherford, who is in the United Arab Emirates. He spoke to Akim Green on the eve of the opening clash against Chennai Super Kings.
Not the best of CPLs you would have wanted. What's your mindset now as you approach that first match against CSK on Saturday?
First of all, thank God for the opportunity. And also, in life or in cricket, there's no one going to go for their entire career with performing. So I think that's something that they have to accept, failure. So I think I give myself the best chance by training, and my mindset going to always be positive. So coming into a new tournament, a new team, I look to keep the same positive mindset. And just look to change our fortune and just stay positive.
Yeah, you talk about being positive and obviously understanding that failures are a part of the game. But when you look back, though, I guess in CPL, could you pinpoint maybe one area where you felt that you really didn't do well and that could have contributed to you not getting the runs you'd like?
I mean, before CPL, I haven't played or went on a pitch for 5 months. I mean, it's not an excuse, but I was a bit low on confidence and I wasn't having the full confidence to go out and bat the way I should. But I mean, in cricket, you need some time, you need to find ways, and I think coming into this IPL, I think that the most standout for me will be find way of scoring rather than looking at an excuse. So the standout for me gonna be find a way, because I mean, this is our job and this is what we want to do. So there's no excuses, and I will just look to make it better.
Yeah, you talk about finding a way. First of all, you got to find a way into the playing 11 for the Mumbai Indians. A very tough 11 to break in. I know last year you played, a reasonable amount of games for the Delhi Capitals. What do you make of your squad, and how hard do you see it breaking into that playing 11 game. There's Pollard, there's Kunal Pandya, and his brother as well as all-rounders there already.
Well, I mean, it's cricket. If I don't play, there's a lot to learn because, I mean, sometimes it don't always be the way you want it to. But, I mean, in a team, there's so much of good players, so much of players that play the game, have so much of records. I think it's for me to learn, not only about playing. So all the field I will look to learn from the senior players, look to better my game because, I mean, this is not the only tournament for me. There's a lot of other cricket. So even if I'm not playing, there will still be a lot for me to learn, and that's key. That's something that for the 2 months I'm very keen on to learn and be better.
Yeah. Given the, I guess, the unforeseeable CPL, on your part, how big is IPL in your books in regards to getting some performances and reminding people of the talent that you have in store?
Well, in my quarantine, I've been doing some thinking, and I mean, it's like a decider for me. This tournament means a lot, so I mean, I've been doing my work, I've been doing some recap, and I'm telling myself that this is it. This is where it all matters, this is where my performance is all needed, so given the opportunity, I mean, I have no chance or no choices of just nailing it. There's no second chance here. I just need to be on it from bar one and from game one whenever the opportunity presented itself.
You know, for you, IPL not in India. I know the IPL would have been played in UAE before, but you wouldn't been a part of that one. What is the mood like in the camp with the guys? Or is everyone still motivated as before? You know, this isn't the Wankidi you guys are at. This is a neutral ground. You know, how are players looking forward to this IPL in Dubai?
Well, the players are very excited. I mean, there's no crowd. There's no one to like give you that push. But I mean, there's a team of about 20 players, and I think that's where it has come from. The bench, the coach, everyone there, we need to support. And the players are very happy to even play cricket. I mean, the fans will be watching, and the most of the support have to come from the bench group. So I think that's the key. But on and off, the players are very excited. And I mean, from tomorrow starting on, everyone will be on it because it's a big tournament for us as well, playing in the UAE. Like how we're looking to make it back to back.
And finally, you and Pollard would have traveled to the UAE on that special flight. Pollard is obviously your T20 captain for the West Indies. Any word of advice you would have shared to you, about the failures of CPL and how you could bounce back and become a better cricketer?
Yeah, well, he spoke. First thing he spoke to me about is Mumbai. He said it's a big opportunity, a new team. He told me to figure out about the IPL. And also he was one of the person that be like, you are here for 2 months, learn. He said, the CPL wasn't the best, but the key is learning. He said there's a lot of great players here. And he said there's a lot of coaches that I can work with to better my game. So I think that will stand out. And he even messaged me like 2 days before training today, and he was like, always remember to learn and better your game. So I think it's going to be a learning talk for me.
I'm joined by Saurabh Walker. He's all the way in Pune, India, where he's working on his cricket academy. He's a performance analyst originally from Mumbai. He has been in the business for well over a decade, working with the Board of Control for Cricket in India, the Mumbai cricket team, and IPL franchise, the Rajasthan Royals, who incidentally are the first winners of the Indian Premier League in 2008. Saurabh was also part of the Guyana Amazon Warriors management setup for the last 2 seasons, working alongside the head coach, Johan Botha. Now, the IPL starts this weekend, not in India, but in the United Arab Emirates. Saurabh, I'm sure that you're looking forward to the next month of cricket action as the 8 franchises go head-to-head.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to IPL and especially when it comes to T20 cricket, the first thing comes in your mind is IPL. The match winners, the best players in the world, they comes together and they give their best. So, it is always exciting cricket you can see there.
Yeah. As I mentioned, the tournament not in India this year, but in the United Arab Emirates. How disappointing is that from an Indian perspective, as a fan looking on to the game as well?
There was no cricket for last 6 months, and then you get IPL shifted to UAE. It's a pretty disappointing thing for the Indian crowd. But the best thing is it's happening, and we can watch it live on TV, and we can see the best cricket. But the second thing is, teams won't get local support, local crowd, local city support. And here in India, kids are very exciting, to go to the stadium and watch their heroes play live and get motivated through them, and they start playing cricket after watching them. So these things gonna be misplaced this year.
Right. We just had a CPL here in the West Indies where we had games without crowds. Do you see that impacting the quality of play in the IPL? No crowds at all?
I think so. I mean, few players need that motivation. They need that crowd support to keep them going. They take that as a challenge. So there won't be, few players will be missing that challenge in the Dubai without crowd.
Yeah. How different are the conditions in India compared to the United Arab Emirates, and what do you think would be key to the franchises doing well in this tournament?
See, I think when the cities and all different conditions, different pitch, weather conditions, so they know how to adapt to those conditions. Even if it comes to UAE, and all the international players, they have played cricket in Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Sharjah. I mean, they have played in PSL, they have played in T10 League, or they must have played international cricket against Pakistan. So they are aware of such conditions. If you look at Sharjah is a bit smaller as compared to Dubai Stadium and Abu Dhabi Stadium. You can expect high-scoring games at Sharjah, but when it comes to Abu Dhabi, there's a wind factor, which the wind keeps coming from one side, from the one end, as you get to see in Barbados. That wind factor you can see at Abu Dhabi. And Dubai, I guess it is also a big stadium as compared to Sharjah Stadium. So, that they have to assess that condition and they have to manage that way. And if you look at statistically wise in Abu Dhabi, Dubai or Sharjah, so most of Pakistanis are played there, or PSL have been played in such venues. And you haven't seen big scores in last 5 overs when it comes to PSL or other cricket, when it comes to Pakistan playing on such venues. But now it's IPL, and it's without them. So I guess a key for them is to score as much as runs in last 5 overs and be on the top.
All right. Part of the IPL plan, like all other leagues, has been to expose talents. We have seen over the years a lot of exciting young Indian batsmen and bowlers coming through the system. Who are some of the new ones that we can look forward to this season of the IPL?
Yeah, see, there are always India is all about new upcoming talents, and they've been getting chances in IPL. So there are a few names like in CSK, you'll find Rituraj Gaikwad. In Delhi Daredevils, you'll find Tushar Deshpande, a fast bowler who bowls almost 140, 145. Is an express fast bowler from Mumbai. Then you have Yashasvi Jaiswal, the under-19 star he's also from Mumbai. Yeah. And then you have the Devdatta Padikkal from Karnataka, and then you have Ravi Bishnoi, who is playing for Kings. So all these upcoming talents is to look for.
Yeah. You had a stint with the Rajasthan Royals as part of their management setup. How was that experience like, being part of the biggest T20 league in the world?
I was lucky enough. I would say I was lucky enough to be a part of Rajasthan Royals for 3 seasons, and especially when Shane Warne was there, and being with Shane Warne, sharing dressing room with Shane Warne, the way he makes his strategies, the way he lifts the team up, the way he motivates the team, the way he thinks about the game. So it's a lot of it was a learning process for me, and I use those incidents, those experiences in my professional career.
Yeah. So the league gets underway this weekend. Two of the biggest teams, CSK and Mumbai Indians, going head-to-head. How do you see that one going?
See, when it comes to IPL, it is always about MI and CSK. If you have seen last 10 years of IPL, it is all about CSK and MI. If you see head-to-head, MI has an upper hand. But MI is going to play in Dubai, and MI never won a game in Dubai. I think when that's their record in Dubai. So I think that would be their jinx there. They'll be looking to come out of that jinx. But when it comes to CSK, I think they'll miss out big players like Raina. I mean, I don't know how they will balance their side without Raina. They've been playing. I don't remember a single game they played without Raina. So this will be their, I guess, first game, and all that is also opener against Mumbai Indians. So that would be the difficult task to replace Raina, because I think MS use Raina as per the situation. So he would find it difficult to manage his batting order. But even for MI side, I think Malinga is also a big loss. So it will be a good battle for both the teams.
Right. I know you as a performance analyst, you're looking forward to quality performances from these teams. You'd be looking for technical deficiencies and stuff. But I must ask you, any favorites for you for this one?
To lead the title?
Correct. Probably two teams in the final.
Two teams. See, I don't want to take Mumbai and CSK names, but this time I've gone through many teams combinations, and I feel Rajasthan and Delhi is looking stronger. So I think one of the team will make it in the finals to play either against CSK or MI. That's what my gut feeling is.
Right, and you must be excited as well that some of the players you work with in the Guyana Amazon Warriors, Shobin Rutherford, Kimo Paul, and Shimron Hetmeyer, they're having the opportunity to play in the IPL as well.
Yeah. So now Hetmeyer and Kimo is with Delhi Capitals, and Shimron Rutherford moved to Mumbai Indians, and all three are exciting talent. I mean, when it comes to T20, you look forward to such players, such power hitters, and the kind of variation which Kimo Paul has. I think it will suit the conditions in Dubai.
Good. So Rob, thank you very much for sharing your time with us.
Same here. Thanks.
And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, our Facebook page, and Instagram. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.